Hello everyone, I'm Yoshi Kigami, President of WAZA, talking from Japan. Hi Jeff, how are you doing?
Excellent, Yoshi. It's so great to see you again. Miss you guys a lot. I'm Jeff Slingloff, Product Manager for Boss here in the United States. I'm in California right now, so it's great to talk to you from so far away. And we're here on Talks with Boss. Talks with Boss is a weekly program that we do, and we get the pleasure of talking to Yoshi Kigami, President of Boss, and one of the engineers who's been there for so many years and done so many great products over the years and been part of so many great products. Talks with Boss is really a great way to answer him questions, have him answer questions directly, and it's really fun. So Yoshi, what is our theme for today?
Yeah, this time we are going to talk about the WAZA Tube Amp Expander.
Right. It might be one of our nerdiest products, and it's one of my favorite products. And those who know me, it's kind of a bit of a thing I talk about a lot and I love very much. So I'm personally very thrilled to have this conversation. We're going to talk about that product. And before we go into it, let me just give a quick description for the audience. The WAZA Tube Amp Expander is a reactive load device. So you can take your tube amplifier and plug it into it and control the volume, get cabinet simulation to go out of it for recording or to PA system. Also, it's an effects processor inside of it. So it can actually add EQ, delay, reverb, compression, and preset ability. And it can do it to both the direct out or live stage situation, to your recording out, or, and this is really important, it'll actually do it to the live speaker cabinet. So you can take a classic amplifier, like an old Marshall Plexi or an AC30, you can control its volume and you can add effects to the live speaker cabinet. So just an awesome cabinet and feature. So, I just really love it. And so it's not just to reduce your volumes, it will actually add some more things. So, and Yoshi, why would somebody want one of those right now?
Yeah, that's, the WAZA Tube Amp Expander is very much fit for the current COVID situation. You guys have to stay home, you cannot play with loud sound, but you have a very nice amplifier, so you can enjoy your nice amplifier with a Tube Amp Expander right now.
Yeah, it's actually been really interesting. The number of people who are at home because of COVID, we see them, with a tube amplifier. If they already have an amp they love and they want to be able to control the volume, get that cranked up feel, they can buy a tube amp expander. If they don't, a lot of our customers have actually been buying the Katana amplifiers or even the Next Tone amplifiers because they have a lot of that technology and feel and dynamics built into them. But when it comes to working with tube amplifiers, many people may not think that Boss is familiar with tube amplifiers, and why would we even try to do this type of product? Can you tell us, Yoshi?
Yeah, because such a strong demand. All the guitarists want to play with tube amp feeling, right? So we are developing such a technology as Tube Logic and also Aired from GT1000. Every modeling multi-effect amplifier requires such kind of tube amp tone. So that is a very important technique for us. And also, when we developed WAZA amp, it's very much fast to try to make such a professional level guitar amplifier for us. And we were talking with a lot of famous tube amp builder guys, and we asked them, so what is the best speaker? Everybody said, oh, that's a vintage greenback. But not made in China, made in UK, they said. So we tried to purchase very nice condition greenback speaker. And luckily we got a good one. But for development stage, using such a precious speaker is a little dangerous. Sometimes our power amp doesn't work well. Then if we break such an important speaker, that's a totally terrible situation. So we needed to have some load box, then that kind of experience is very much useful for making WAZA Tube Amp Expander. So that's first we made a Tube Amp Expander as our inside tool for developing WAZA amp. Then after finishing WAZA amp development, we thought, oh, this is very useful for everybody. So we decided to make a product. That is the story.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, 4 years ago, I was in Japan, 3-4 years ago, and, and seeing these metal boxes, and they were, and one of them would say Greenback 25, and one would say Vintage 30, and one of them would say, GT, 1275 or whatever, and, and then to go into a room and do an audio demo, and have this, classic amp that was just timed, and it be at a controllable volume and sound amazing, and it was like these pieces and tools that you guys had created, and for you guys to come and put those all together into something the public could get and to get their hands on was great. And what's unique about it, obviously is the way we do our reactive load is really cool, but many companies have released load boxes. But one of the unique features about our reactive load box is that it's got variable reactive loads. Can you tell people about the benefits of having reactive load choices?
Yes. So load box, basically that's two different types. One is resistive load, which is called dummy load in old days. It's made by just a resistor. So, and another one is reactive load, which is including some kind of behavior of the speaker unit. Just checking per amplifier, resistive load is very stable loading, But we wanted to recreate very much complicated interaction between power amp and speaker unit, cabinet, like a tube amp. So reactive load is very much important. So, and also some our competitors' model has a reactive load, but mostly they are kind of like a targeted some famous amplifier, like a 212 type of amp or 412. But they work as a very specific model amplifier. But we wanted to make much more general type of reactive load. So you can choose the setting of the impedance curve. That's provide a much more variety of the speaker configuration sound. So, and also, realizing impedance curve of speaker. By the way, speaker itself has different impedance curve, even if it's a 12-inch 4-ohm or 8-ohm speaker, same spec, but each speaker has different impedance curve, like their sound character. So we are now talking about impedance curve, which is we are looking speaker from power amp output. But if we look them in time axis, that's called IR today, So IR is usually from cabinet, speaker cabinet input to pickup microphone. But now we are just talking about impedance curve from watching from power amp output. So that is just realize impedance curve, including speaker and cabinet. So
right
now we are, having 16 selection of the impedance curve matching, and you can select them. Also, they are all analog circuit, so your target amp you can set suitable or most similar sound by using our setting.
So what's really interesting is, so we've got 16 modes, and as you just explained, this, typically if somebody's connecting to reactive load, it only has one type, and the one type might be a 112, but that isn't going to put back the right frequency impedance into your amplifier. So your presence knob's gonna be different, your feel is gonna be a little bit different. With us, you can change that for the cabinet you're playing through live, which is awesome. So I can get the same dynamics and feel through whatever cabinet I was supposed to get it through. But I can also choose a reactive load setting that gives me the frequency-based ohmage load, impedance load, that matches the speaker that I'm playing through for recording. So a lot of people have like IRs, and you load in a 412 IR, but with us, you can actually make the amplifier act as if it's connected to that 412 or that 112 or that 212 AC30. It's very, very cool. When you started the product, it now has 16 types of impedance, which combinations, which is great. But did you always plan to put 16 in there, or was that how did we end up at 16?
Yeah. That was very much simple when we started. Maybe 212 and 412. That is very common, right? But after starting the project, so everybody said, "Oh, I want to have some speaker unit because famous sound like a rectifier." So adding one. So finally, that was 16. We didn't expect such a lot of selection first time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that there are 16 reactive loads. It can handle 3 different ohmages in there. So there's an 8 ohm, a 16 ohm, and a 4 ohm option. Handles up to 150 watts, and it's really quite amazing that it has all these possibilities in there. One of the frequent questions that we get is, can you set it in a way that would cause a problem for your amp if you put the wrong reactive load on it, for example?
Oh, that's no problem. So very beginning we thought always customer wants to recreate same sound to their own amplifier. So that we created such kind of selections, But we introduced WAZA Tube Amp Expander to a professional guitarist. First, they are doing same thing, but then they are changing the setting, and that means they are creating new sound by using reactive load. And reactive load provides them much more complicated sound character, which is totally different from just using EQ, adjusting the frequency response. Reactive load works much more complicated behavior you can get.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that the presence knob on your amplifier isn't an EQ knob, except for in a couple amps, but some amps lie.
Yeah. So
but most amps.
Yeah, I need to say, any setting, it's no problem. Never you have a problem. But only problem is no connection between power tube amp and WAZA Tube Amp Expander. Tube amp has a heavy load, so that might be a problem. Also, wrong connection. Tube amp output into Tube Amp Expander headphone output or something. That is a problem. So we had such kind of situation. So we created this small cap Can you see? Very small cap for protecting not used jacks. Now we are adding this to the new shipping unit. But if you need to get this type of cap, please contact your local customer service, please.
Yes, very important to make sure you plug into the correct jack. And the first thing to know is always with your tube amplifier, connect it to an actual speaker or a reactive load box like the Waza Tae. We want to make sure that you're safe there. Don't mess up and plug it into the headphone jack. Probably not good for either your amp or your Waza Tae. So try not to do that.
Actually, on the stage, people don't have much time for preparation. And also sometimes different guy is making connection. So the protecting unused jacks are better for preventive kind of action.
Yes. I think I told you this earlier. There was one time I was playing a festival gig, thousands of people in front of me, and there was a problem getting on stage, so I had to run up and start playing like immediately. And there's no sound in my amp. And I go back, and the people who had connected for me, my tech, accidentally plugged the speaker jack into the effects send. There was no sound, right? Fortunately, easy solution, amp didn't die. But, with these things, the engineers and you guys made a great choice to paint it red. So it's very obvious, the little box where you're supposed to plug it in. But sometimes on stage in a dark room, in a rush, that can happen. And, obviously you want to have your amplifier connected to a speaker load. But a lot of people ask, can you actually use a Waza Tae without a speaker cabinet? Could I just take my head and a Waza Tae and record or use headphones? Can I do that?
Yeah, it's no problem. So usually tube amplifier, you cannot do that. But Waza Tube Amp Expander is designed for such kind of like unusual situation. We have a protection, so that's no problem.
Good to hear, right? And so if there's anybody who's watching us right now, if you have any questions that you'd like us to try and answer right now, please post them, and we'll try and answer them as we do this conversation with Talk with Boss, and we can get Yoshi to answer it. And if not, it'll still be on there, and we can answer it for later. So as we go on, actually, there is one question that already popped up, which is about the possibility of reissuing the HM2, a very common request, right? Maybe someday we can talk you into the team into doing that. We have for the Waza Tae, it's got a great reputation for its line out. Can you tell me a little bit about the line out and using it in a PA situation?
Yeah. So during our development, we worked with a top professional PA engineer, and they checked the sound, and they were very much surprised about the sound quality. And because always getting a very nice sound, only microphone is not easy. But they said WAZA Tube Amp Expander line output provide very sexy low end, and that is very much easy to recording and also mixing. So sometimes they are using line output and also their own microphone sound they mixed. So WAZA Tube Amp Expander has recording output and also FOH output. Also curve simulation has two different type of line and also FOH type of settings. So they are very useful for PA sound.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? I love the fact that it has the stereo XLR, right? XLRs to me are pro, and I love that it has those. But then it has a third one, which is front of house. So it's a great option. So they get the mono sum version. A lot of people don't even realize the Waza Tae also has the ability to use the USB to be a direct recording device, it can actually be the audio interface, which you can use it just with your laptop and record, which has been really great. So, and I love that you and the engineers put in front of house tunings, because sometimes recording tunings and things that we might like to play through are a little bit complex, and they are tuned a little bit differently. And to use some professional front of house people to get a really dialed in sound. And you're right, every pro I talk to who's got a Waza Tae on stage, one of the first things they say is they're like, our front of house people are so happy with the sound of it. So it's really, really great. You know, with this, the Waza Tae, you know, it's got the great ability to just walk up to it and use it. And it's got these rig settings inside of it. But we mentioned things like the fact that it has a delay and other things inside of it. You can get to those all from an editor that comes with it. You know, it's just a simple download, connects via USB. And with that editor, you can do all kinds of amazing things to set up your rigs and presets. So you can, you know, choose your type of compressor. You can choose your type of delay. You can choose, you know, your reverb. You can even choose if your reverb goes out to the house or to your live speaker cabinet, or both. You have choices for the output for the XLR and for the USB recording. You can choose the type of microphone, the type of cabinet. There's 22 cabinets inside of it, 7 different mic types, including classics like SM57, you know, Royer ribbon microphone, U87, that kind of thing. And you can even choose the room settings. So you can choose whether it's in, you know, a nice recording studio, a big recording studio, and various other options, including anechoic, right, which is really great. Because it can sound really fun to play in a room, but maybe the engineer mixing the song, you don't want to get that. And you can even download your own IR data to it. So the editor really allows you to supercharge and set up all your rig settings so you can use everything on there. Rigs are basically presets. There's 10 of them on it, and you can select through those on the amp. You can also get the optional GAFC foot controller, which will allow you to switch through those live on stage. So you can take your classic amplifier, like just a classic one-channel amplifier, and give it preset capabilities. Jump up in volume for a solo, add reverb, add delay, re-EQ a cabinet, that kind of thing. It's just really an awesome thing. You know, if you want to use the line out, you know, it's just an awesome device, and I really appreciate that we've got all those options in there. So, Yoshi, you know, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit in our list of questions here. Right, sorry. But with all those capabilities and things, you know, who is the most common user of a Waza Tae?
Yeah, so the Waza Tae is very much flexible. So good for stage using, good for recording, and with some application. You know, our very much basic concept was a guitarist who has vintage amplifier on the stage. You know, so right now stage, as I said, you want to get the real tube sound, but you want to suppress the sound level. So you can use Waza Tae just as a power control with your vintage amp. And also Waza Tae can modernize your vintage amplifier with send return, some effects. So the very nice sound, but not so much flexible vintage amp will be changed to very modern type of amplifier. And also another thing is you can make louder sound with WAZA Tube Amp Expander. Some guy said he loves champ sound very much, but it's too small for the gig. It depends on the venue, but you know, so you can get 100-watt experience with champ sound. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty extremely cool. So the Waza Tube Amp Expander, you know, when we say reactive load, normally that means that we can attenuate down. And but with Waza Tube Amp Expander, you can actually increase, and you can actually add an effects loop to any amp. So I could take that small champ and make it 100 watts experience, probably through a different speaker cabinet. You don't want to blow that little 8-inch. But I can get it at full volume and add, effects and turn on it, which is really quite a unique point. And one of the things that I love is that the volume control on the front of the WAZA Tube Amp Expander, it's not a stepped control. It's not dropping down in 3 dB or 4.5 dB steps. It's actually linear. I can actually adjust it up and down, and with it, there is actually a feature in there where it does a Fletcher-Munson curve, difference curve. So basically, humans, when things are quiet, when you're trying to write those presets in the bedroom, and we have trouble hearing treble and bass as well as we hear mid frequencies. As it gets louder, those treble and bass start to turn back up, and we can start to understand things a little bit better. And this is the classic problem. Everybody at home has written presets in their bedroom, gone to play with the band, and they just sound bad. Well, that's probably why. With the WAZA Tube Amp Expander, I can set up those rig settings and get the experience of my amp, as if it were loud, even at a quiet volume. And then also, when I write my rig presets and I take that classic amplifier to the gig, my presets are all dialed in. So it's really pretty freaking cool. And who doesn't want a loud champ? So
and also, at the live stage, changing sound volume is very much difficult. You have a very short rehearsal time, and if someone asks you, please down a little bit volume, but you don't want to change the play field, so you can keep same play field and adjust the sound level. That's very important.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so cool, right? I love it.
So, Jeff, you guys are doing a lot of workshop recently with American dealers. So do you get any popular questions from customers?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions. A lot of people don't instantly understand that the WAZA Tube Amp Expander can add effects to your live cabinet as well as your studio cabinet. A lot of people don't catch right off the bat that with the many things it can do, it can actually act as an audio interface with my my computer. So you could take a laptop and Pro Tools and go sit in a hotel room and it'd be great. We recently did one, and one of the people watching it was Joe Satriani, who ended up picking up several of them, and actually he called me over the weekend to get it all dialed in and was working on some stuff. So we've been fortunate to have some great artists. I think you've also had some experience with some great artists too, haven't you, Yoshi?
Yeah. Ingrid Malmsteen called me. He wanted to try WAZA Tube Amp Expander. He is usually using big Marshall wall. But he said some small venue, it's too much. And also at his recording studio, he has real stack 412 cabinet in different room, soundproof room. So he has no problem at the recording. But he did A/B comparison with his current system and Waza Tae, and he said this is perfect for his use. So he is now using 2 WAZA Tube Amp Expander, and he is uploading his video on his Facebook official page. So please check the video. He is explaining about WAZA Tube Amp Expander.
Yeah, he seems very excited about it. And I think one of the things that he was trying to explain in the video, which was very cool, is in the studio, he has post effects. So he records his amplifier, it's timed, it's cranked, and then he can put delay, reverb, and stuff like that on the mixing console. But he can't get the same experience typically with his amplifier, because in your effects loop, if you're running your master volume kind of high, the power tubes are distorting it. It doesn't come out exactly the same as it did in the studio experience. But with Waza Tae, you basically have a third place, which is that not only can effect go in front of your amp, it can go in the effects send and return in your amp if it has one, but it can also go basically post amplifier, because we have our own built-in power amplifier, and that gives you the cleanest, greatest way of getting delay effects in there and stuff like that. So just a tremendously cool product, and I really love the TA. It's been really awesome tool, and I don't know why it never existed before, and I've always wanted one. So Yoshi, we could talk for hours,
Yeah.
as we have before, right? And I just really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the conversation on this, and I hope we answered some of the people's questions at home. At home, if you want, on Facebook, please put in any comments or questions about this topic if you'd like, or other topics, and we'll try and get to those and answer them as well. And next week we have another Talks with Boss, and we're going to be talking on September 2nd at 7:30 a.m. in UK time, 11:30 p.m. Los Angeles time. Do you know what the topic's going to be, Yoshi?
Yeah, we are going to talk about SY1 guitar synth, which is getting very much a good reputation in the market right now.
Yes, I have one right here.
I have too.
I was playing with it. Yeah, I was pulled it off my board today to do some stuff, and this thing is so amazing. If you haven't played with it at home, it's 121 different synth sounds, and it's derived from our other synth processor, the SY300. And with these, those synth sounds, they're polyphonic, so you can play full chords. It's instant, no delay, just play as fast as you want. And they're just extremely easy to use, super fun, and different organs, different synth patches. There's even cool sequence patches. You can even do like an external tap tempo or set the tempo on those and play with them. It's even a cool hold function, so you can do like grab a cool synth pad and hold it while you play over top of it. Just a must-have for anybody's pedal board. So I'm so glad that you're going to talk about it in great detail next week. So please, at home, let us know about that. We did get one last-minute question, which is somebody was asking if there will be a light version of a Waza Tae. I don't know of anything in development. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, Yoshi.
Yeah, some guy said the stereo version of TAE, and
Yes.
Yeah. We will consider.
We will consider.
Yeah.
For me personally, having the pleasure of working for Boss, occasionally I have two of them around, and I've used one amp head to feed two Waza TAs into two 412s. That is probably the best amplifier experience I have ever had, in all my years of playing. Just super, 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 super fun. So why it would be more expensive, a stereo version would be nice. And I know a lot of people would like a stripped down version, but trust me, if you're like most guitar players, you don't have one tube amp. So getting only an 8 ohm version, or only a 16 ohm version, or only a version, eventually you're going to plug it into something else, and you're going to want the other options. So maybe there will be a light version. Yeah, I'm sure the engineers, Yoshi, are thinking about it. But trust me, you're probably going to want everything you can do right now, and that'll be awesome. All right. So you'll look for the announcement for Facebook next week on SY1, and add any questions. And Yoshi, again, I really appreciate talking to you, and I'll look forward to hearing what you guys talk about next week.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. See you next week.